All right, we should be live now. We'll get started here in a couple minutes. Let me just do an audio check. Let's first see if the audio is A-OK, because sometimes we have some issues with that. I do not have the music on yet, so this is just a audio mic check. Okay, audio is good. That's excellent. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a full screen up of me talking and see if the audio matches the movement of my lips. That's another area that seems to be an issue. And we've had people look at it, and it still seems to be something that they have a hard time fixing. So love to know how to fix that. If anybody has any ideas on that, send a email to us at support@traderscoach.com, and we'll try any suggestions out there. But basically, that has been an ongoing issue. So, okay, it matches now. Boy, okay, I guess the YouTube gods are in our favor today. All right, I'm going to put a little music on, and we'll get started in about a minute. Okay, thanks. All right, well, welcome to this week's Stock Analysis Friday. Today is May 26th, 2023. Great to have you here. All right, so the idea behind this type of presentation is for you to type in your stocks and use caps, please, when you type them in. And then we'll take a look at those, and we'll do a quick analysis using multiple time frame analysis. I'll explain that a little bit, along with our software tools, and give you a kind of an idea of where we think it's going, if it's a good trade, either the long or short side. And by doing this, what happens is we get enough people here, we usually create our own kind of stock picking service, which is kind of neat. So you can get some ideas on trades that maybe other people are taking that we think also look good, and therefore add it to your list of tradable stocks. So we do keep this to stocks and ETFs, so keep that in mind. All right, so let me get going, and you can start typing those in at any time. And first thing I want to go over are the risks involved in trading. There are risks. Past performance in trading does not guarantee future performance, and that goes with investing too. And also realize that you want to trade with money you can afford to risk, called risk capital. That's really important. Also too, when we come up with stocks or ETFs that we like, you're going to probably be a good idea to run those by. In fact, we really kind of suggest this, to run it by your financial advisor or money manager to be sure they're suitable for you. We don't know your personal situation. We can't make a guarantee on anything being profitable. So we work in a realm of probability. So you definitely need to make sure these type of trades are suitable for you. and your financial advisor should know that. We don't know your personal situation, of course. And then finally, we want you to understand that there is a risk control element needed to be successful in trading or even investing in the financial markets. And that goes above and beyond just using risk capital, but it also entails knowing how many contracts or how many shares of a stock to buy based on where your exit is in case the position does not work. All right, so that's a form of risk control. We're really good at that. We can help you with that. I got a bunch of books out on that. My Money Management for Traders book, second from the right, deals specifically with the kind of rules you need to implement into your trading program. My newest book coming out, it's not out yet, but it's coming out. The Art of Trading second edition, being published by Wiley, is coming out later this year. Going to be a great book. I'm putting a ton of new information in there, updating it for the current market conditions, and also the current way in which we use multiple time frame analysis and the ART software along with our latest software techniques. Big believer in Elliott Wave. You know, Elliott Wave basically puts counts on the swings in the market to determine where the market is going. So we use that a lot. And then, of course, my other books as well. In terms of software, you have to have a set of tools to do well in this business. You can't throw darts at the charts, so to speak. But in any case, what we have done, or what I have done, is created software tools over the last 30 years of trading the financial markets. And I feel these are the best in the business. And we cover charting software, which you'll see in a minute. And basically, that's going to give you entries and exits and risk control. We have scanners to find stocks because, you know, we are always actively trying to look for certain patterns in the market based on our software tools to trade. And then the idea is risk control. And that's the bottom row is all our risk control software. So you can learn more about that on our website or get on our mailing list, and we'll go ahead and talk to you more about that. All right. And then finally, in the world we live in YouTube, you got to like us, subscribe us, or share us. Okay, apparently that's the way you get around being noticed on this channel, and so feel free to do that, and we would appreciate that. All right, so let's come out of here and let's go into charts, and go ahead and type your symbols in caps, and I will get going on what you want to look at in just a moment. I wanted to start out with the real estate REITs, okay, XLRE. You know, rates are going up. They think they're going up again in June. Hard to say. Some people are a little on the fence on that, but I think that's probably in the works, probably a quarter point or something. But in any case, what's been interesting is that we had a little bounce in real estate here back in the March period, leveled out, and then in May, it started to come back down. Now, we still have some bullishness on the weekly chart. So this is the weekly chart. And this kind of gives us the long-term look at the markets. We have a daily chart here, which is kind of the chart most people are used to using, where every price bar represents a full day of activity. And then a shorter term chart over here called the 60-minute chart, where each price bar represents an hour or 60 minutes. So by doing this, we kind of get a good look. And notice all charts are the same symbol. So the idea is we get a good look at whatever we're looking at on 3 different time frames. And so that's really helpful in order to time your trade and kind of get a good overall view of what's going on. So when we look at this, and that's called multiple time frame analysis. When we look at this, you can see our software tools overlaid on the charts. We've got our scanners up here. That's the multicolor stuff up there. And then we have things like the OWL here, which measures momentum. We have the PTF, and we have the ERI down at the bottom here, and the TLM right here. And so notice those are on all 3 charts, and then we have pyramids that look for fractal entries and exits and give us the overall position that we should be going in the direction of. All right, so back to XLRE, which is a REIT, okay, in real estate. So what's interesting is the long-term chart on this has a green PTF. So basically that's indicating that after this move down is over, we should recover and come back up. So that's kind of interesting. The problem is that we haven't finished this move down. And so we'll see what happens here. We got a red over here. So it looks like we're going to go maybe a little bit lower short term. All right. And we have red here. And that's, of course, bearish. So it looks like we're heading down. We have another pyramid trading point that occurred in May to the downside. So we may get a little bounce here. You know, if they're going to raise rates in June, you may see homeowners thinking about buying at this time, trying to get in before that next rate increase. So keep that in mind, but we'll see what happens. But it definitely is trending down at this particular point overall. All right, so let's see what else is cooking out there. How about cryptos? Everybody's kind of interested in the cryptos. All right, so the cryptos or Bitcoin, we're going to look at the ETF for Bitcoin called GBTC. And if you notice here, it's been pulling back, and we kind of thought that would happen, especially after the big move off the bottom. You know, it went from way down here, you know, around, I don't know, I'm going to say around $7 or so, and then popped up all the way to almost 20. And so when you get a big move like that, it's kind of normal for it to pull back. So I'm not concerned about Bitcoin doing anything extreme in terms of selling off. I just think this is a profit taking and a kind of pause in the move up. I do expect after the pause or pullback for it to go back to the upside. And but the pullback's not done yet. So if we look at the 60-minute chart on this far left, we can see we have a red PTF. And basically that indicator is kind of cool because when it's red on the time frame you're looking at, there's a 75% chance it's going below the low that formed in that red area. So that should reverse and come back down. And that's on the short-term time frame, not on the other time frame. So that's going to happen sooner rather than later. So when it appears on a shorter time frame, that means that's going to be the action that happens before the higher time frames. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at here. All right, so that's GBTC, a little bit of a pullback here. Again, I'm actually very bullish on the cryptos. I think a major bottom was put in 2022. So I do expect this to go back up. Maybe, you know, the equities market may falter and people may go ahead and put their money into cryptos, gold and silver at that particular point. All right, so let's keep going here a little bit. Let's see what else we got going. Let's take a look at gold. Speaking of gold, okay, I'll type that in. So the interesting thing about gold is we were expecting it to reach into this target zone, and it did it. So in terms of an Elliott wave here, this was a position where it's a top of a 3 inside basically a major 5 that's unfolding still on the weekly chart. So I don't think the high is in on gold yet. I do think we're going to get a pullback, and we're experiencing that. We may be almost done with the pullback because we're pretty much in a point of inflection, which is basically the 50% mark between the recent high and the recent low, right? So we're kind of in that area there, and we could see a reversal, but the 60-minute chart is saying not quite yet. Okay, it's still bearish. So I do expect gold to turn around, but I think we're seeing a pullback at this point. Long-term trade, you should be fine. You're not stopped out on that, so just stay with it. All right, let's take a look at silver. That's another one folks like to kind of take a look at. All right, so silver, we're bullish long-term, bearish short-term. So it's still coming down, pulling back at this particular point. So I'm not recommending silver to new people at this point because it's still coming down. So I would wait on silver. If you're long, you know, your stop is pretty low, so you shouldn't have any problem with the pullback. But for somebody new, wait until it comes down a little bit and you get a better price. Okay, that's kind of how I would definitely do that. I'd like to take a look at the bonds, which is the ETF called TLT. Now, the bonds are something I think at one point will be a tremendous opportunity, but not yet. It's coming down. We've got our system is telling us here short. We got a red PTF. Target is down here in the lower 90s. So I'm kind of not obviously going into that to the long side. It's too really late to go short unless you're going to take a quick scalp trade, which should do pretty well, by the way. But at this particular point, no long positions on that, okay? No long positions. So that's kind of where I'm at there. The other one I want to look at is USO, which is the ETF for oil. All right, so if we look at oil here on the weekly chart, which is the far right, we were expecting it to pull back into this zone. It did it. And now we're going to see if it starts to pull up a little bit. We still have a bearish 60-minute chart over here. So that doesn't bode well for a long position at this time, especially when the low inside that PTF is around 60, which corresponds to the bottom here. So that is telling us that we may not have a bottom in. So I'm very reluctant to recommend this to the long side at this point until we have a much more bullish lower time frame. All right, so for right now, don't do anything with that. UNG is the next one I want to look at for natural gas. And that has really come down. Now, a couple things I want to tell you a little bit about this. All right, I love patterns like this. I love when markets sell off and then start to base. That basing right here spells to me opportunity, because at this particular point, I've had a tremendous sell-off. So I think everybody that's sold is done. Okay, they're out. So that's why it's basing. All right. You'll have some people still short, maybe not covering quite yet. You might get one more small bottom, so you don't want to go in quite yet. But there is a possibility of an opportunity. I would wait until it breaks out like right around a little bit of lower than $8. And so that hasn't happened yet. So we kind of want to keep an eye on that. So I do think UNG goes on a watch list for everybody, because I think at some point it will be a decent trade. And I think you can do quite well on that, but not quite yet. All right, NVIDIA, Stuart, how are you today? All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so Stuart's saying, well, you know, NVIDIA's been on our buy list. We have a service called the Market Opportunity Report, which Stuart is referring to, called More. It's been on our buy list for quite some time, and it's done obviously very well. All right, it's in the target zone now. So here's a couple things. All right, one is, and basically Stuart's asking, where should the stop be now, which is a very good question, because we had a gap up on the daily chart. And he's asking, should we take some profits today? Now, here's the interesting thing about trading. The logical mind is telling us we've done really well. We're in the target zone, take profits. Okay, that's what we're saying. The indicators or tools, if you look at them, green, green, green. That's very bullish still. So the tools basically are saying stay in the market. The art software has got your stop fairly far away to allow for the filling of the gap that could happen. Now, here's always the hard part about trading. Do you stay with it, go through the pullback, and then get rewarded with new highs? That's one way of doing it. Do you take profits, all right, to make it easier to stomach a pullback, but not exit the position altogether? That's another method, all right? And the method you choose is going to be depending on your personality and what you feel you want to do. So my personal feeling on this is, looking at what's happening on the daily chart, this pattern here is a pattern that we also have seen before in technical analysis. And we'll have to see how NVIDIA closes today. But this is called an inside price bar that's forming today. Do you see that little green price bar compared to Thursday's price bar? See how that's inside? So here's the general statistics. Doesn't happen all the time, but the statistics behind that pattern. So if on Monday, if this remains inside today, inside Thursday's bar today, then on Monday, if the market breaks below the inside price bar, what usually happens, not always, but usually, you get 2 to 5 price bars in the direction of that break. So that means you're probably going to fill that gap. So that may be a place where you can take some profits. Now, how much profits do you take? Well, here's where having the right tools help, okay? If you're going to take profits and you have this much bullishness, don't take too many because it's going to return and go higher according to the tools. So maybe take a third off. You know, if you didn't have this much bullishness, you could take a half off. But it looks like it's going higher. All right. Another, you know, some people that, you know, wouldn't worry about a pullback wouldn't take any off. So it depends upon you. It also depends upon how much profit you have, where you got in. Not everybody gets into a market at the same place. But that's how I think I would play that, Stuart. If you're kind of wanting to take some profits, use that inside price bar, which is a pattern and technical analysis that we use for scaling out. Does that help? Hopefully that helps. Otherwise, I'd stay with it because even though we're in the target zone, we have a green PTF, a green owl on all time frames. So you kind of want to stay with that, right? All right. So that was a good one to look at. Now, Amazon, okay? Amazon is another one. We recommended this one last week. And I wanted to load this one up. So this one, I think, has tremendous opportunity. I'm going to open up the long-term weekly chart because this has got a lot of what we call dots that connect for a nice long trade. So we've got a big, now here's this bottoming that we look for. Nice breakout of the bottom. So the ideal trade would have been there, right? You have the pyramids, you have green, green, so you're good. Then it moves up steeply, and that's a wave 3, as one of our other indicators indicates for Elliott wave. And now you're in probably just finished wave 4. All right, so you probably had an A, B, C with 5 distinctive waves in C. You'd have to go to a lower time frame for the 5. And here, but you have the A, B, C, easy to see there. So that's a pretty clear Elliott wave count, right? I like it when I don't have to scratch my head too much to figure it out. So that's pretty nice. So we're assuming that this is a major bottom. Are we always right? No. That's why we use risk control. But when you start connecting a lot of dots and they make sense, then that increases the probability of accuracy. Your wave 4 had a very nice red owl. That's a must. And wave 5 in the Elliott wave, which is the final push up on the trend, has a green owl. And here's the wave 5 target zone. So that is where we think prices are going to go before Amazon ends this very bullish trend that it's in. So the target for Amazon for me is 195 to 265. Is this going to happen tomorrow? Because it's only at 120 right now and a half. No, this is a multi-year probably hold. So if you're thinking about adding something to your investment portfolio, ideal, okay? I like it. Even if the overall market does not do good, this should do well. And if you think about it, you know, we're in an internet-based society right now. So people have got to still buy things, even if the market does not do well overall, the economy goes into recession or whatever you think is going to happen. So Amazon is one of the key suppliers for everybody around the world, basically. And so makes sense that this would do well. Another one that you should also be considering is Google. All right. Google is in a very similar pattern to Amazon. Okay, there it is. Now, we've had a pretty good run up on both Amazon and Google. So don't be surprised if it comes back a little bit. But that is trading. You have to realize that markets breathe. They don't go in a straight line. So don't get upset if you go into this, it pulls back. Just don't have your stop so close if you're planning on reaching the long-term target, because you will get stopped out if you don't have your stop precisely put. And then again, this is where our trading tools can help you. But the target for Google is 162 to 211. Once again, think about the power behind Google on the internet. All right, they practically own it, for God's sakes. Okay, so again, if the market goes into, the economy goes into the recession, Google's going to survive, all right, and probably thrive at that point. So keep that in mind. I think that's a good one. INTU is another one we like for long term. Okay, And here we are here. And you can see, these patterns, when they really are clear, there's not much to not get, right? Okay, 4 pulling into possibly 5, okay? And there's the target. And we even have a green PTF sitting above here. So on this move here on INTU, we expect it to get to 773 to 1,031. You got to have your stop pretty low on here, okay? I put it right here or bottom of this pyramid that we have here, and let it run. Now, there's no guarantees, because what can happen on some of these is sometimes you may have a bottom, comes up, goes down one more time, and then goes. So bottoms can be tricky, but when you have a bottom that connects so many dots like this, it looks pretty good, okay? So INTU is good. So those 3 I really like, but those are long-term positions, but they should get you through a recession, so to speak, if you want to have something that you want to hold in your portfolio. Okay. All right. Let's see some comments out there. Kevin, UNH, let's take a look at that. This is United Health Group. Great to have everybody on board here. All right. So let me take a look at the weekly chart on this. So here's the deal with this. Again, you don't have to scratch your head much on this. That's a wave 3 and a mature and extended wave 3. Look at the bearish divergence. And now we have this. All right. So any long positions that you might have had have been stopped out. Okay. Here's the pyramid. Basically how pyramids work is they look at the fractal nature of the market and the price pattern that produced it and the momentum that went into producing it. And your stop is put right under the flat part of the triangle. So you would have been stopped out here. So no, you would not be long here. Now, looks to us like it's going now into a wave 4. All right. And you got it. You know, if you put your stop here and you went short, you'd have a 2 to 1. So you could probably get away with a short trade. We'll check this lower time frames first, but that could be a decent short trade that you could be in for quite some time to get to the target zone. Or if you don't like shorting, you can just wait till it gets down here and then go long. But I wouldn't be long here, okay? Not unless the short-term charts are indicating another push up. So we got to look at that. So the weekly chart is saying more that we're probably heading down to 348 to 220. And the stock is currently at 483. But then after that, it should recover, okay? Let's take a look at the shorter term charts. Okay, you got a scalp trade you could take here on the daily. So the PTF is green. All right, so it looks like it's going to head back up to about 530, which is probably not high enough to take out this high. All right, so that's kind of the only possible trade you could take to the long side, but I'm not really that excited about that. I think I probably would rather short it. So what I would do here is wait until this either turns yellow or red. And then at that particular point, take a look at the weekly chart again and see if it still makes sense for a short trade. Okay, so hopefully that helps. All right, let's keep going here. Let's see. SMCI for Steve. SMCI. All right, great one. Okay, so again, that's a wave 3, right? The beautiful thing about a wave 3 or an impulsive wave is that they jump out at you. Okay, look at the hyperbolic move you're in now. So let me ask you a question, Steve, if you don't mind. Are you long on this already? Or are you thinking about going long? What are you thinking about doing? All right. Maybe you're just thinking about taking profits. Okay. So let's take a look at the lower time frames. Boy, they're all bullish. Okay. Very similar to the one Stuart looked at on the video where you had the gap up. You have a gap up on this one. You do not have an inside price bar here. Okay. So that's not going to help us, right? So you're still moving pretty good up. Okay, so you're long. All right, well, technically the tools are all bullish. So there's technically no reason to get out of this trade. So the only reason probably you're thinking about getting in is, you know, you don't want to give back the profit, right? That's the biggest emotion that causes us the most trouble in trading, is when your stock is actually very profitable. It's a tough decision if it's jumped up, where to put your stop and what to do. So yeah, we're probably going to get a pullback. All right. The pyramids on the daily chart are giving it enough room, quite a bit of room, actually, a lot. All right. So you're probably not going to want to do that unless you're, you know, fairly comfortable with letting markets unwind, because you will get higher. You probably come down here and turn around and go back up. That's probably what will happen, which is why the pyramid stop is so low. And it's bullish on all time frames. You may want to, if you're, you know, freaking out, you're like, I want to take some profit. I've got, you know, over 100% return in this. Yeah, I know it's going to go higher, but I need to take some profits to lower the stress. Okay. All right. So let's use the 60-minute chart. That's not really giving us too many period places either. You may want to put your stop here or trail it, but only take a third off. Don't take a lot off, because this is going higher. All right. And I don't think it's quite yet at the top of 3. So I try to stay in there as much as you could. But with that said, when you do get wave 4, you're going to get a nice healthy retracement, but I don't think you're quite there yet. Okay. So thank you for sharing that one. I'm not going to recommend it because it's too far gone for new traders in terms of too far up, that the risk it increases for a new trade. But if you're sitting there with a lot of profit, you can protect a little bit about that doing what I just said. But overall, it looks like it's going higher. Question is, it's hard to tell exactly how much higher at this particular point, because we got wave 3s on basically all 3 time frames. So you're still on it. It's still going a lot higher. All right, so hopefully that helped. Let's see. Al must not be here today. Quiet day. That's funny. That's Perry, right? Yeah, where is Al? All right. He's usually good for about, what, 10 stocks, I think. All right, so let's do TWST. TWST, and this is for you, Perry. Okay, let's see what's cooking on that. All right, open up the weekly chart here, kind of get a good overall view. All right, so we came way down. All right, this is a great chart to make an argument for trading versus investing. So if you went back here in 220 and you held this and didn't do anything, you'd actually be at a loss right now, or at least slightly broken even, more likely a loss. All right, so there's where investing didn't quite work as well as trading the swings in the market, right? So what do you do now, though? All right, well, we still got red here. This is green, which is remarkable. All right, so that's indicating that it should head back up. Now, we don't have a lot of history, okay? Only 2019. So it's tough to get any accurate Elliott wave count, except to say this may be 1, 2, and unless the thing goes bankrupt, then it should go into 3, right? Okay, so that's basically what this is telling us down here, that we may be now on the verge of something quite big. So this could be a major bottom down here. We still have red here, all right, and we still have an active red pyramid here, okay, on there. So a little tough to call whether you should go in on that. Certainly not yet on the weekly chart. Let's see what the lower time frames. Okay, so we know that when we look at lower time frames, they're going to react quicker than the higher time frames. All right, my great analogy here is think of ships out at sea. You know, if you have an aircraft carrier that like represents the weekly chart, that's going to be the last ship that can turn quickly in a fleet, right? The smaller ships will turn quicker. Same thing with looking at all these charts. All right, the shorter time frames are going to turn quicker. So we got some bullishness on the shorter time frames that we don't quite yet see on the weekly, right? Bullishness, 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 bullishness. This is green, but this is yellow. So the yellow is neutral. That's just no reading. You can go long or short on a yellow. All right, so you got an MP here. You have taken out here. So I think what I would kind of do on this one here, we're close to turning over. You do have bullish divergence here, okay? If you wanted to take an early entry, you could have done so and put your stop at the very bottom. So it's not too late to do that. So that's not a bad idea, but you are bottom fishing, which means that sometimes you get stopped out a few times before you catch that bottom perfectly. But, you know, once it's in, you'll make a lot of money, which will offset any micro losses you took while trying to catch the bottom, but you got to stay with it. You can't throw the towel in if you get stopped out once or twice and leave, and then you come back and watch it took off, right? How many times has that happened? Yes. Okay. I think it's happened to us all. The better you get at this, the more you'll know to stick with stuff. All right. So I'm liking this. All right. Here, I'm going to recommend this for those that like to get in early on trends, but I am going to tell you to put your stop way under here. Okay. At the very bottom, and keep it there. Basically where that pyramid is formed is okay. Okay. That should do it. All right, so that one is from, let me see, I think that's from you, right, Perry? Good job. All right, so let's take a look at Perry's next one, which is SDGR. All right, so this one has come up too, all right? Not much history. All right, so again, tough to get an Elliott wave count on the weekly chart. You can get it on the shorter time frames, but tougher here. So we made a new low here, another great case for buy and hold. Not. All right, so here we go up here. This is showing some bullishness. What I like about it is it took out the bearish pyramid, so no more shorts should be in play here. So I think the shorts have fairly unwinded at this point. Now we got to see if there's follow through. You have not yet had a significant pullback. And that is what I usually say you get after you get a pull up off the bottom. So you got to be careful that that could be coming soon. So you got to make sure you're prepared for that if you're in it. Now, the shorter time frames are still very bullish. All right. So if you're in it, you should be okay at this particular point. So I'm thinking if you're going to take this as a long-term trade, then you kind of want to have your stop pretty low. All right. You need to have it probably right around here. Okay. If you want to put it here, that's an alternate place. Okay. To have it. But we have not had a really big pullback yet on the weekly chart. We've had a decent pullback here, though. That's pretty good. So I'm kind of liking that. But so there it is. So we got a little bit of red here. So we're still kind of pulling back a little bit. You got an inside price bar here. Check this out. Forming today. So here's this pattern that I told you about before that I like to watch. See the inside price bar here. So if you're thinking about trading this, I guess if you get a break above the inside price bar, then we're going to go higher. And you can probably, you know, get up to around 40 and keep on possibly going. So that could be pretty decent there. So I would say watch that inside price bar. I'm not going to recommend it because of red owl on the 60-minute time frame, but I would just put that on maybe a watch list and see how the markets react on Monday to that inside price bar that's forming today. Let's see, Perry, I do see Al here. Okay, Al has just put one in there. All right, Steve, hopefully that helped you. Okay, all right. So Al wants to take a look at VSOLF. The penny stock. I'll look at anything, including penny stocks for you. All right. Once again, not much history. Goes back to 2022, went up, and now it's down. Got green PTF, so eventually it should return and make a movement up. Let's see. We have an active pyramid. Boy, I don't have much history there either. All right, active pyramid here, going down, green. All right, so basically, it looks like we're still coming down because we got red owls on both. And let's see if this green PTF is calling for one more high here. I don't think I would touch this here. Okay, at this point, there's just not, even the PTF being here is not enough profit for me to take it. And I'm not getting a good reading on this because there's not much history. All right. So I don't think I would do anything with that now. All right. ABT, short, Abbott Labs. Let's see what's cooking on Abbott Labs. And Al, this is for you. Of course, I didn't see that load, but let's see what happens. There it is. Okay, it's loading now. All right, let me just reposition the chart. Sometimes the volatility on different markets, you got to just slide those down a little bit. All right, so let Abbott load, slow load. All right, I'm going to open up the weekly chart. Okay, so what wave is this? All right, 3, right? 3 is always jumps out at you. Okay, that's a 3. We're in 4 now. So the question now, if we're in 4, is has it completed or is it still underway? Because the next wave up will be a 5. The question is this over? Because if it's not over, that means it's still heading down. If it's over, then we're ready for a long position. So what I like to do is take a look and start connecting the dots. So let's do a fib retracement. And usually I find take the lowest low after the low going back enough distance for the 3. So we barely hit it here. That always makes it fun when you barely hit it, but it's not as clear as you like it. What I find interesting here is that we had a slight move up. So it was a quick possible ABC, but also too, this could be an A. This could be a B, and we may complete with a C. So, all right, so 2 possible wave counts here. Either wave 4 is over, or it's got 1 more low. Okay, that's a head scratcher. Let's see here. Okay, well, we're still coming down on the short-term time frames. This is why I like to look at the different time frames, because they do help. So this is red, bearish, bearish. So let's see if this bottom holds. Okay, do not do anything and do not go short on this. Okay, it's too close to the target. So there's no trade on this. But, okay, you could put this on a watch list for a long trade once we have a better probability that the bottom is in. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I would not go short. You know, the PTF short is only saying 101 with any type of reliability, and we're at 103. Okay, now it could go down in the lower price range, but there's no way of me knowing that at this time. That's ABT. Okay, all right, let's take a look at RDHL. And give that a second to load. All right, so not a bad one for a bottom fisher. Don't go short, it's already done. It hasn't turned around yet enough to warrant a long trade. And we still have some active pyramids. We do have bullish divergence, and this is a penny stock. Now, anything under $5, I call penny stock. All right, so we've got bullish divergence here, but as you can see, we even still have an active pyramid here. Things are starting to perk up a little bit here, but not enough to warrant a trade at this point. So we don't have any red PTFs though. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's a good sign. So I'd like to see it come up. Actually, this pyramid was stopped out over here, so that's not an active pyramid right now. See that price bar? I would give it a little more time. Let's get this green, all right, and maybe get this above here, all right, and you know, maybe like another 50 cents or something before I'd consider it. Put it on a watch list, but I wouldn't trade it now, okay? All right. AI. Okay. AI. When somebody puts AI in, all right, I think it's AI. You know, I'm not sure it's a stock or whatever. Okay, so let's take a look at AI here. Okay. And see what's cooking. So AI reached a target here, and here's the great thing about the PTF. So we reached the target, right? And once you reach a target, you think about getting out. And you certainly could have gotten out a little bit, because it doesn't mean you're not going to get a pullback. But the PTF remained green, indicating that that's not the final high. What the PTF won't tell us is the extent of the pullback or how long it's going to take before it returns and does what it's supposed to do. But that's what it's telling us, that the high is not in yet. And so we'll watch it. Now, when it breaks this high, the PTF will measure the momentum again in the market and see if it should stay green. There's a whole special set of calcs that are done on that. So it basically takes a look to see if it says should stay green or not. And if it's a no-go, it'll turn yellow. And so that indicates it's gone back to neutral. So at this case here, the long-term target zone around 74 to 114. All right, short-term before anything major could be as high as 34 to 41 on this. All right, so I probably would not go into it at this point because you're pretty close to the PTF high, which is here. You know, it's only 34 and you're at 32. So the better entry would have been earlier if you had known to get in, okay? The best trade on this time frame would have been the 60-minute chart, because the clear entries are in the pyramids here, see? Here, not so much. Okay, you would have had to wait for the owl to turn green, and it was. So I guess you could have gone in here at that point, but also the 60-minute chart was in agreement. So you could have gone in then, but I think a little late now, okay? And that is AI. All right, Steve, let's take a look at yours. PLTR. All right, let's take a look at that. All right, so this was kind of an interesting one. You know, I think we looked at this one before when we were looking at a breakout, because first we looked once again here. So we saw a bottoming here, right? We bullish divergence, no longer a red PTF, and then we had green and we had pyramids, and boom. All right, so first target we're looking at is right here. We're almost there, 14 to 20. All right, so not so bad. We'll look at the lower time frames in just a moment. And the daily charts got us in pretty good on this, okay? So question is, how much higher is this going to go? Okay, not much history on this, for one thing. We go back to 2020. So it's hard to say if this is going to take this out. But usually in the beginning, when you have a complete downdraft, if you want to try to formulate an Elliott wave count, the only count it really could be is 1, 2 on a longer time frame, and then 3. So it may blow right past this retracement, but that was the target off the bottom. The PTFs are green still on the daily and 60-minute lower time frames. Look at this beautiful pyramid trading point entry here for you. Perfect. Okay, perfect. Right above the high here, green, green, and at the time, green and green. So that's the ideal entry. So it's gotten away from us a little bit, and looks like it's going to go higher at this point. Seeing a little teeny bit of bearish divergence on the 60. So here's how I would play this. If you're not in it yet, I would wait, because you know you've had a big move up. Wait for you to get. You might go a little higher, but wait for that pullback, and then I'd go into it. Okay, because you're so close to the target zone anyway, and since we're not sure this is where exactly this is going, except the retracement of this move here, you're almost there. So your entry's got to be, you got to buy right on this. Okay, it's kind of like when you buy a house, you know, you got to buy right. All right, you got to buy right on this. And I think you got to wait for the pullback. So PLTR. All right, let's see what else. Okay, anything else? I think that is it. Boy, good bunch here. I like TWST so far. Okay, TWST was the best possibility. Anybody got any more? Going once, going twice. Okay, Al, MOD, mod. All right. So mod has broken out. You know, it's incredible. Market's up, what, 283 today. NASDAQ's up 315. So those of you that had subscribed to my More report, as you remember, okay, not to pat myself on the back, but all right, I'll pat myself on the back, that we were saying the NASDAQ had more room to climb. And we're seeing that. Now we're in the target zone for the NASDAQ. It's still going up, and that's completely normal. However, okay, being in the target zone, this also indicates a possible final move to the upside. So we'll take a look at the NASDAQ next. All right, MOD, all right, perked up, especially yesterday and today. All right, we have that trigger green PTFs and owls on the 60-minute and going up for one more high. I think we're getting close to a top on this. So you got to be a little careful. We did blow past, I think, this. Let me just grab here. Extended line. Nope, that's not what I want. I want the horizontal line. Okay. Yeah, we blew past that. Okay, so that's a bullish sign. All right, it hadn't been past there since 2018. So that is bullish. Pretty messy chart, though. I'd have to even go to a longer time frame to figure out the Elliott wave on that, because that's messy. All right, it's been going up and going down, going up and going down. All right, so just because it broke out the high doesn't make it a slam dunk that it's going to be, you know, taking out the all-time high. That's not a slam dunk, because look, it broke the high here, went up a little further, and then dropped back down. So that's not necessarily, you got to trade the lower time frame pyramids. And at this point here, looks like we're making one more high. I'm trying to figure out where this high is going to be, because that is not a wave 3. That's probably a wave 3 then, 4, 3. That's 5 inside of 3. All right, so maybe something, we got to be careful about something coming down at some point there, but tough one to figure out. I'm scratching my head too many times for this one. So it's a breakout. That's all I can tell you. I have no real idea where the target's going to be. Sorry, I really can't help you that much on that. All right, let's take a look at INTT. This one, mod, would require more in-depth analysis on other time frames. All right, give INTT a chance. All right, nice run up, okay, since October. Okay, look at the pyramids. Couldn't ask for a better trade. Boom. Okay. Have you been stopped out yet? No. Your stop would be right under this pyramid here. Do you have bearish divergence? Yes. Could this be close to being over? Yes. Could it go higher? Probably, because that's what this is indicating here. All right. So again, you know, the problem is when you get in late in trends, you actually are getting in closer to the point where it could have a reversal. And so the risk of the trade actually increases. It's much better to go in if you can when the trend proves itself at the beginning. All right. So that's it. Okay. So I assume you're in it. I wouldn't go in it now. It's too late. But assuming you're in it, you're in good shape. Keep that pyramid right around this area here. Okay. If you get any signals in the opposite direction, like a bearish art reversal bar or a greed or fear bar, you can think about scaling out at that point. But for right now, I'd stay with it. Okay. Just stay with it. All right. Anybody else? Everybody good? Good session today. Let's, for fun, what was the other one I was going to look up? Let's see. I'm trying to think. There was one more I think I had mentioned earlier. I can't remember which one it was now, but okay. Anyway, let's see. All right. So let's, why don't we go over, for fun, let's take a look at our intraday time frames for a minute. All right, so this happens to be the futures market. And as you know, we day trade the futures. We have a trading room that does that. So this is still going down, bearish. The only difference between the charts we had up before and the intraday time frame charts are the time frames. So this is a 5-minute chart. So this is your long-term chart, if you can believe it. This is the 1-minute chart. So this is your intermediate chart. And then we have a 15-second chart, and this is your short term. So we still use multiple time frame analysis when we day trade, but the time frames are different. And what's interesting is, you know, you kind of think, oh my gosh, that's too fast. You know, 1-minute time frame, ridiculous. Well, we're not individual price bar traders, so it's not as fast as you think. We look for patterns in the market using our software tools. So there's times where we have to wait a half an hour, 45 minutes sometimes for the right setup. Okay, and sometimes even longer, sometimes shorter. So we're pretty specific and structured on what kind of setups we look at to make that trade. But just because it's a short time frame does not mean it's out of control. Okay, we still use very specific risk control guidelines. So it's very controlled and it's very methodical. And basically, it's the same type of analysis we do here that we do on the charts we looked at for stocks. The only difference is the time frames are so short. Let's see what the MES is doing. See what a big trend this one was. Okay, huge to the upside. Boom. Let's see about the NASDAQ. All right, nice trend too. Notice here that the PTF was a little slow in turning bullish. And usually when it goes from a red to a green, it means it was wrong. So it was wrong here. So it's wrong 25% of the time, right? 70% of the time. Whenever you see it go from a green to a yellow or a red to a yellow, that means it's correct. Worked the way we think it should. So I pretty much rely on it. It has a 75% probability, not 100% though. All right. So basically, as soon as this turned green, that's when the trade could be entered because you already had a bullish pyramid. So that would have been a nice trade. Then we trail our stops up onto the bottoms of the pyramids. Okay, taken out here. All right. Would not have taken this. Now we're looking for a short trade on the correction. That's how that would be. Okay. So cool. All right. All right. So I guess that's it for today. All right. Thanks for joining us. All right. Once again, I really enjoy Stock Analysis Friday. You guys are great. Very, very good stocks that we looked at today. Again, TWST. That's the one. All right. That I think was the best for today. The others are all doing great. But they're getting now, I think, too high to get into and too close to your target zone. So I know what I want to look at. Let's quickly take a look at the NASDAQ. Remember I said I wanted to take a look at that. So let's go back over and quickly take a look at the NASDAQ. Let me see if I can find it up here. All right, there it is. And here was our target for the NASDAQ. So you see we're hitting that target right on. So there it is. And that is a retracement target in a bear market on the weekly and an impulsive move up on the C wave inside the weekly wave 4. All right. So this is still going up, not coming down yet. All right. But now it should be getting a little toppy. So we'll keep an eye on that. This could be the blow off, so to speak. So just make sure if you're in any stocks, just make sure your stops are as tight as they can be, but by the same token, when you get into a blow off like we could be now, you can make a lot of money very quickly. So you don't just want to exit because it's in the target zone. Stay with it as much as you can. All right, so that's it for today. Have a great one. I guess I'll put the MES. I always like MNQ up here. I'll put this up here because this is short enough that you can watch the price bars unfold. I'll put a little music in. And I'll close the room in about 5 minutes. So we'll see you back here next week, okay? Have a good one. Have a good Memorial Day weekend, all right? So don't forget what Memorial Day is. It's for those soldiers that have died for our freedom, okay? So remember that this weekend. All right, have a good one, and we'll see you back here next week.